Chapter 9, Articulations. Chapter 9, Articulations. Chapter 9, Articulations. Joints are articulations. This is where two bones will come together. All joints are going to be a compromise between the need for strength and the need for mobility. Thus, the more mobile the joint is, the weaker it's going to be. We're going to classify joints in two ways, by function or physiology and by anatomy, structure. Functional classification includes three different types. We have immovable joints, which are called synarthrosis, slightly movable joints, which are Amphiarthrosis, and freely movable joints, which are synovial joints. Based on structure, or the anatomy, we have fibrous, which is fibrous connective tissue, cartilaginous, made of cartilage, bony, or synovial joints. Under your immovable joint types, the synarthrosis, we have four different types. Okay? We have the sutures. These are between the skulls bones. They interlock the bones together with dense fibrous connective tissue. And second is gomphosis. This binds your teeth to your bony sockets in the mandible and maxilla. This is also a fibrous joint. Think of gomphosis, gums, where the teeth are located. That might give you some help. Synchondrosis. This is a rigid cartilaginous bridge between two bones. The first rib in the sternum is an example. And chondro means cartilage. And synostosis is a totally rigid, immovable joint when the two bones fuse together and the boundary between them will disappear. An example of this is in the frontal bone. When you are in the fetal stage, you have two frontal bones that then fuse together. When they fuse, you cannot see the suture. It is called a metatopic suture. Another example would be the epiphyseal line of mature bones. The second functional classification is the Amphiarthrosis. These are slightly movable joints where there's a little bit of flexibility between the two bones, but not a huge amount, and there are two different types under this heading. There is the syndesmosis, where the bones are connected by a ligament. This ligament is obviously fibrous connective tissue. An example of this is the distal articulation of the tibia and fibula down near the ankle. And the second type is symphysis. This is where the articulating bones are separated by a pad of fibrocartilage, obviously cartilaginous. And this example we saw in lab of the pubic symphysis, which is between the two coxal bones in your hip area. Also the intervertebral discs between the vertebrae are also a type of symphysis. The third functional group are the diarthrosis. These are the freely movable joints. There's only one type of these, which is the synovial joint. This allows for a wide range of movement, and these include your shoulder, your knee, your hip, and your elbow, as well as many other joints in the body. General structure of a synovial joint. We're going to look at four different parts of a generalized synovial joint, and then we will go into, on the next slide, accessory structures of some of the joints. The first structure is the articular cartilage. This is the cartilage that covers the end of the bones where there are articulating surfaces. It is going to be similar to hyaline cartilage, but it has no perichondrium. That's the outer membrane that occurs on most cartilage. And the matrix will contain more water. Because it has more water, it's going to be more slick and smooth, and it will help with protection of the bone. And the two cartilages are going to be separated by a thin layer of synovial fluid, which will work as a lubricant. The second structure is the synovial cavity itself. This is just the joint cavity that surrounds the two articulating bones. It will be filled with synovial fluid. The joint cavity will be comprised of the next two structures. The articular capsule, which is going to surround the synovial cavity. It does not cover the articulating surfaces. And the articular capsule will be composed of an outer fibrous layer and an inner synovial membrane. Again, for protection and for production of synovial fluids. The last structure is the synovial fluid itself. This is made of hyaluronic acid. It's very similar to our interstitial fluid, the fluid around the cells, but it has a large amount of proteoglycans. These are secreted by the fibroblasts of the synovial membrane. The synovial fluid has three primary functions: lubrication. The articular cartilages will act like sponges. They'll fill up with the synovial fluid, and then when they're compressed, they can jump up and down, they will squeeze out the fluid, and that will then coat the surfaces of the articulating cartilage. When compression stops, the fluid is going to be picked back up by the cartilage, like a sponge. The second primary function of synovial fluid is nutrient distribution. The synovial fluid will circulate continuously, and it will have nutrients in it, and it will pick up the waste from the chondrocytes. This is being recycled continuously. And the last is shock absorption. Cushions shocks in the joint so that when you jump up and down, those two bones are coming together. It does not destroy the bones. The accessory structures are going to help the joint work better. We're going to look at the knee joint for the accessory structures. The first type is the meniscus. This is a fibrocartilage pad that will occur between opposing bones within the synovial joint, and it's going to help protect and stabilize the joint. Second is fat pads. These are localized masses of adipose tissue that are going to be covered by the synovial membrane, and they are going to protect the cartilage, and they're going to move around when you bend the knee and fill in empty spaces to help stabilize. Third is the ligaments. These attach bone to bone at the joint, and these are going to stabilize the joint and hold it tightly together. Fourth are the tendons. Although these aren't really totally part of the joint, they're going to attach the muscle to the bone, and the muscle structure will help to protect the joints and limit the range of motion and provide support. The fifth are bursa. These are small fluid-filled packets that are in the connective tissue. They contain synovial fluid and are surrounded, made up by a synovial membrane. These are found where tendons or ligaments will rub against another tissue, so they provide a protecting layer between the tendon and, say, the bone, so that it reduces friction so that the tendon doesn't get irritated. And the final is a synovial tendon sheath. This is a tubular bursa, sort of like a donut with a hole in the middle, and the tendon will run through this center hole. And this is going to be found in areas where the tendons are touching a number of different structures from many different sides, so you're protecting the complete tendon. There are three different types of movement that can occur: linear, in a straight line back and forth; angular, at an angle; and rotation, which is around a fixed point, movement around a fixed point. Linear movement occurs when two opposing surfaces slide past one another. This kind of motion is called gliding. It can occur in any direction and is a slight movement. We would find this between the articulating carpal bones of the wrist, tarsal bones of the ankle, the clavicle and sternum of the pectoral girdle. Angular motion is going to occur when there's a change in the angle between the two articulating bones, such as bending at the elbow. Circumduction is a much more complicated angular motion. An example of this would be drawing a circle on the board with your arm. The result is that your hand moves in a circle, but your arm doesn't rotate. This is going to be so complex, it's going to involve flexing of the arm, extension of the arm, adduction and abduction of the arm. Rotation is similar to spinning around a stationary point. No joint can completely rotate because that would entangle blood vessels and nerves, but we do have some degree of rotation in some of our things. There are different types of angular motion. We have flexion, which is to decrease the angle between the articulating bones. An example is bending your arm. Or extension, where you increase the angle between the articulating bones, straightening it out. These two are paired, they're opposite each other. Hyperextension is when you extend something past the anatomical position. If you take your head, you have your neck, you look down, you are flexing it. If you take your neck and look up at the wall, you are extending it. If you further extend it to look at the ceiling, that is hyperextension. Abduction and adduction are paired together. Abduction is movement away from the body along a frontal plane, such as you move your arm away from the side. Adduction is when you move it toward the body along the frontal plane, so you bring your arm closer to the body. And the last of the angular is circumduction, which is a combination of flexion, extension, abduction, and adduction, and the example is drawing a circle on the board. Rotation is going to be described in reference to the anatomical position. We can have left or right rotation of the head, lateral or medial rotation of the arm, supination where you rotate the palms so that they turn upwards, and pronation where the palms are turned facing down. Special movements, many of these occur in pairs that oppose each other. Inversion turns the sole of the foot inward, such as if you're rolling your ankle. Eversion turns the sole of the foot outward. Dorsiflexion and plantar flexion are a pair. These refer to the ankle joint. The dorsiflexion is flexion of the ankle joint such that you point the toes upward. Plantar flexion is when you stand on your toes. Opposition is movement of the thumb towards your fingers, allowing for a grasping motion. Protraction and retraction are another pair. This is moving parts of your body either anteriorly with protraction or posteriorly with retraction along a horizontal plane. Example of protraction is biting your upper lip with your lower teeth, and retraction is the opposite of that, pulling your lower teeth and lower jaw inward. Depression and elevation refer to structures that move either in an inferior direction, which is depression, or in a superior direction. Your depression, such as opening your mouth, where you depress the jaw, lower jaw down, and when you close it, you are elevating the lower jaw. The last movement is lateral flexion. This refers to the vertebral column, and it allows you to bend side to side with the vertebral column. There are a number of different types of joints. They're going to be classified on the basis of the shape of the articulating bones, and each of the different joints is going to permit a different type and a different range of motion. In a plane joint, the faces of the articulating bones are either flat or slightly curved, and they allow very minimal sliding motion. An example would be between the clavicle and the sternum. In a hinge joint, a movement can only be done in a single plane, sort of like the hinge on a door. An example of this will be your elbow or knee, which only moves in one direction. In a condylar joint, there are two different bones. One has an oval articular face, and that will nestle into the depression on the opposing bone. This is going to allow for angular motion in two planes. An example of this is going to be found between your metacarpals and your phalanges, the fingers. In a saddle joint, the two bones have a concave face, like a saddle. These two bones will nestle together in this saddle-like structure and allow some degree of movement. An example of this would be at the base of the thumb. A pivot joint allows rotation only to occur around a specific pivoting point. An example of this is the atlas and axis of the vertebral column. In a ball and socket joint, one bone has a large round head, and the other bone has a cup-like depression or socket for the head to go into. So the head inserts into the depression and allows this joint to have a great degree of angular motion. An example of this will be your hips and your shoulders.